Survival House Network.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Riverman from Behind the Mask. This episode, well, it's not really an episode. We just kind of want to talk about the Academy Award-nominated film Tree of Life, which has been pretty controversial. We're just going to have a little talk with our friend John here from England. The next show we have coming at you is going to be more horror-oriented, so stay tuned for that, and let's get into this conversation. Hey guys, welcome back to Behind the Mask.
This is Goose.
And the Riverman.
And we're here with a follower behind the mask and a good friend of mine, all the way from across the pond in London, England. We have John Milan. Now, John, explain to the folks, you're not exactly a Brit, are you? You're like half Dane and half French, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty messed up, actually, that way.
But you got a great accent. It's very subtle. It's more of I love that Dane accent.
Yeah, it's, maybe there's a hint of Danish in there, but, there's some you could say very international accent.
It's very muddled. It's like a big, bunch of stuff, man.
A big potpourri of all kinds of stuff, a little American and Canadian maybe mixed in there with some European, I don't know.
Do you know Lars?
Do I know Lars? I love Lars, man.
Do you know
I'd
Lars?
love to meet him.
Oh, yeah, okay. You're about twice his height. You're like two Larses stacked together. You're a giant, my friend.
Yeah, I was watching a meet and greet, and someone took a photo. They asked Lars to jump on his back, piggyback. It's pretty cool. Big, tall guy in Finland, of all places.
Oh, those crazy Vikings. Well, rock on. We're here to talk about the very controversial movie Tree of Life by Terrence Malick. He's sort of a love it or hate it type of director. I got to be honest with you, I'm not usually a fan of his directing, so it was definitely interesting for me to go into it, because I've obviously got, I don't know if you want to call it a biased opinion or what, but definitely preconceived notions about the director himself. But John, I want you to start off by telling us your opinions of this flick and what it means to you and all of that, and then we'll comment and go from there.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say I'm a big, I'm not a big follower of his films. It's sort of a recent thing. In fact, just watching The Tree of Life, it was the first film of his that I'd seen in a long time. I'd only seen Thin Red Line, ages ago. I'd seen The New World, and I didn't really know too much about the director. I'd sort of just seen half of these films. But when I saw this film, I was sort of introduced to him by my sister, who was sort of a Malickian, if you like, And it's I would say I'm a big fan now after having seen the film, for sure. Huge fan. I liked his the style and the artistry of it, and the filming, the cinematography was just amazing, really amazing.
I have to say now, the cinematography is amazing.
Yeah,
it looks
beautiful.
And honestly, we watched it on Blu-ray, and it is by far the best looking Blu-ray I think we've watched so far. Just as a Blu-ray disc, it looks phenomenal. I do want to say something that we talked about last night is this movie's fan base is pretty divided. Like I said, Terrence Malick always love it or hate it type of thing.
Oh yeah.
And you can anybody can go online and hit the forums, and there's like no in between. There's nobody that thinks it's okay. Yeah. It's I hate it or I love it. And that might be the case with us here today. Now, we kind of had a discussion, and we thought maybe it's a cultural thing, because it seems like a lot of Americans hate this film, and a lot of Europeans love it.
Wow. So, okay. I wasn't aware so much of that. That's an interesting one.
It really is. So what do you think about that? Is it a cultural thing? are we just more prone to, we need our Michael Bay fix, we need
We
explosions,
need our violence, and
you know, and you guys come from a
little more seasoned, maybe.
Well, you guys are very cultured, and just your entire your entire history is based around theatrics and culture and art, you know, more so than us, where we just like want to blow shit up.
Yeah, you know, firstly, I wasn't aware of that, so that's news for me. I assumed it was very much the same over there, the same polarized opinions, of course.
Of course, there's people that dig it over here. It's just kind of a general thing I'm going at here. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there's something to be said for what you said about, you know, maybe the difference between the cultural appetites of Europeans. Maybe they tend towards the artsy type film. You know, when you look at French films, I mean, I'm half French myself. French films, Italian films, especially French films, they're more in the...
Sorry, I interrupted.
You had to throw that in. Yeah. Fair enough. But I think that especially the French, maybe as an example, they do tend more than maybe Americans towards the artistry and the eccentricity of films, which is maybe why I like this film, perhaps.
Now, I am dying to know some of your interpretations. I mean, some of the interpretations are obvious, I think, enough, and some of them are very obvious just because, like I said, it's very much talked about online. It's hard to not kind of, you know, people, it's out there. The gist of this movie and what it's meant to be is kind of out there. And I don't know. Maybe I just didn't quite get it. Now, we are in a very interesting place here because you obviously love the film. Mm-hmm. Riverman here, he saw it a long time ago, and he says he is very opposite of that. I'm interested to hear his take, and then and I'm new to it. I just watched it last night. I got to tell you, man.
Okay, last night. Wow.
Oh wait, yeah, I wanted to watch it as fresh as I could. That's right before. And it always helps to sleep on it. Like, I love the way I feel. Like, I honestly feel a little different about the movie we saw last night. Extremely loud, or incredibly. I can't even spit it out, dude.
Extremely loud and incredibly close.
I feel a little different about that one, even than sleeping on it night. But anyway, I'll get into it and I'll break it down. But
yes,
you know those movies that are really, really good, but their only fault maybe is that they run on maybe 15 minutes too long. Mm-hmm. Well, I think the Tree of Life is 2 hours and 15 minutes too long. It's just, to me, it's basically an overdrawn student film that might have been decent when summed up in 15 minutes. You know, that's just my opinion. People were commenting on the whole origin of the universe creation sequence. They're saying it's the best thing in cinema in 30 years. It's so amazing. You know, and I felt like I was watching Nova or something.
Oh, it's a Planet Earth. Giant Planet Earth movie.
And it looked really cool. Yeah. And it looks really cool. And I can imagine if you threw me in an IMAX and you had a laser show and Pink Floyd music and accompaniment, that might have been entertaining for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
You know, well, it's just, I don't know. And I get what they were trying to do, but I just, at the end of the day, I didn't know what was going on. With some of the characters, like, I don't know, and their exact purposes in the film.
Well, I mean, especially with Sean Penn's character, I mean,
I get it. He liked to wander around. He liked to get his cardio on. That's kind of what he did. I don't know.
I saw in the theaters, and my first take when I walked out of the theaters, I actually kind of enjoyed it. And then I slept on it for a day, and then I came back, and I was like, I really did not like that film. I don't know why. I mean, probably just like the imagery I liked so much after walking out of the theater, but after actually thinking about it, I was like, nah, I really didn't enjoy it.
Well, it's watching it in IMAX would have been awesome because how beautiful it is and the sound and all that stuff. But it's
I did not see it in the IMAX. That I can imagine that would be even a better viewing as far as the cinematography goes. But
for Todd, it sounds like it gave him the Avatar effect. Wow, that was so amazing! I love it. It was beautiful. Next day, that was the crappiest piece of crap I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought about Avatar, actually.
That's exactly.
That's what I said. I call it the
Avatar. I thought
effect.
was a really crappy film. I mean, not the filming, but the story was so cliche. It was cheesy.
It's horrible.
It was painful.
It was Pocahontas that's been rehashed a million different times.
Oh,
in a million
Jesus.
different popular
Ferngully, yeah.
But
it was like Pocahontas with some 3D, with some crazy 3D, part of which was annoying anyway, the 3D, for my eyes.
No Vanessa Williams. It's kind of sucked.
And that's exactly why I called it the Avatar effect. But anyway, so you tell us why you disagree with us, if you do, on certain points, and tell us your take on the whole movie. Give us the breakdown, because you know what? We were talking about, we were like, man, sometimes I don't want to have to like try so hard to delve and break open a movie to figure out the meaning.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think it should. If he had more of a linear way of telling the story and more of a.
That's a word I'm hearing a lot when talking about this, the linear, which is true. But yeah.
I mean, if he had a more conventional way of narrating this piece, it might have been easier. It might have been more natural to get the underlining of it. But it's like it makes you bust your brain so hard and think too hard.
Well, because people aren't used to this in mainstream cinema. That's the whole thing. It's more of a indie artsy film that you see in your small little theaters.
Yeah, no, for sure. But go ahead, you tell us. I want you to take it from here and just tell us why we're wrong if we are and what you think.
Yeah, well, firstly, interestingly enough, I don't know if part of this film, for me, the way that it wasn't just good, but really good for me, was maybe the setting, right? Basically, I watched it with my family. It was Christmas time, so I didn't see this film when it first came out. I'd heard about it, and I just did not. I somehow was not interested in watching it. I thought, there's other things I want to see that were maybe sounding more exciting. But I watched this, and I had my sister, who is, as I said, a big Malikian fan, and she talked me through the film before we saw it. She sort of had delved into the psychology of it. So there was that before. Then we sat down, and I really believe with this film, the setting or your state of mind when you watch it is important to a film like this. So I think the mood was just perfect for watching a film like that. Another day, I might have just been wanting to see some, Conan the Barbarian, the remake, and loving it, but not that night.
but 364 days out of the year, the Conan sucks. I got you.
Yeah, that's a great example. I mean, that happens to us all the time, too, with film.
Yeah, that's the way I come at everything, John. That's actually a great point. Anything I love or have a bad experience with, I'm like, you know what? If this was a different day, different things were involved, it could have been the exact opposite. I agree 100%. And we all associate... We all bond with things because of personal memories, or they click with certain things. They make us think of certain things in times in our lives. So that's a good way of thinking about it for sure.
I think it just the setting. Now, I would still on any night like this film, so I should say that. But I think I was left with this overwhelming emotional response to it, which was so powerful for me. Somehow because I did not know what to expect from this film. I had no preconceived notions, which maybe is a good thing. I had nothing. I did not know what the film was about. I did not know anything about this director. I hadn't read any of the reviews about it. I had been alienated from any of the razzmatazz surrounding this film. So maybe that was important when watching this film. Maybe that's what kills it. But still, I would have liked it. But the ambience and the setting, I had my family there. We sat around. It was so chilled. We'd seen Watchmen just before. We actually were watching a second film. And Watchmen is really interesting, really subtle. Maybe not everyone's film, but it's a really interesting film, actually.
But Zack Snyder film?
What? Yeah.
Okay.
I need to see The Watchmen still. It's on a separate...
See, I'm not a Zack Snyder fan, but I can respect The Watchmen.
You said a term a moment ago that I want to kind of focus on. You said the ambience. And let me tell you, folks... Ambience is definitely a key word. I suggest having surround sound watching this film if you want to hear anything. Mother, father, John, this movie sucked. John, mother. I'm just joking. Mother, father. But it was just crazy. It was like, what is going on? I was like, my mind was blown. I'm like, do I need to be on some sort of like LSD or something?
Yeah.
Or
you know what? Probably there were some people that were like were high, smoking pot and stuff. That probably,
that would help out the experience.
Help out the experience a lot.
Yeah. That's why I immediately thought of a laser show and Pink Floyd in the background. It's like, man, this would be pretty killer if you had the right accompaniment, man. It's like
something about it. I mean, I think when watching this film, as much as maybe the religious undertones, the spiritualness of it, you can respect that, or maybe that is a bit cheesy and stuff. But I think my main take on this film, which I loved and I respected so much, was the quality and the originality of it. But the filming is what gets me. It's like when I saw Badlands. It's such a powerful film, but because of the quality of the experience that's presented to you, maybe that's why I like this film so much, because the changes of the scenes and the way he films it. It was just such beautiful artistry. And I will always like films like that. You know, I watched Hero. I really like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
Not everyone likes those films, but I love those films just because maybe I'm a sucker for the artsy experience, which, you know, not everybody is. But I really thought the scenes with Brad Pitt and the family, I don't understand how people wouldn't like that. I thought they were brilliant. Forgetting about the whisperings, you know, the whisperings and the dinosaur and all that cheesy shit. And even I love the big scenes of the universe and all that. But, you know, it's a bit pretentious, a bit ridiculous. But if we take it down to the family, I don't see how anyone could not think that was so brilliant. Brad Pitt, I thought, was fantastic, and the psychology of their family with the kids and the boys. I don't know. I thought it was mind blowing. I thought it was amazing.
I'm not gonna.
But what do you guys think about that?
Something you could definitely relate to, I think, with the whole, you know, Brad Pitt and family. I mean, like they have certain scenes where it brings you back to your own childhood, but I mean,
I definitely, it was like watching movies through the eyes of somebody else's, like, you know, home movies. Like I was like a being John Malkovich kind of feeling. But, you know, I'm not about to have the gall here to sit there and say Terrence Malick doesn't have skill behind the camera, because his directing is great. The cinematography that goes on in his flicks is incredible. I just think, is it the editing work, the pacing of it? I don't know what it is, but no, those scenes with Brad Pitt were my favorite, obviously, because it's like whenever that happened, when I saw like a dinner table scene or they're playing out in the yard, planting trees, I woke up for a second, like, oh, there's actual dialogue. What's going on here? And I know, I'm serious. And it caught my eye, and there was some powerful little miniature scenes, like the whole, he flips out when his what does he talk back to him, his son, and say no or something, and he freaks out. And he
says, you be quiet. He says, be quiet or shut up or something. And it's like, it shocks you because his dad is such a control freak.
You will call me father type of thing. Yeah. We can all, that kind of resonated with me, man, you know? So that's one of those personal things. So that was cool, but it's like, do those little great parts serve, are they greater than the sum of the whole? You know what I'm saying? That type of deal? For me.
Yeah. No. Obviously, for me, there was plenty of other things, but I think it's fascinating with this film. I don't know. I can't understand the such strong opinions on both sides. It's fascinating that with this film, there's people, like, if everyone said they hated it, or they really disliked it, I would be like, hey, fair enough. You know, maybe I was just a little bit high that night. But then there's people that are explaining it like exactly the way I experienced it. It's just it's something, I don't know. But there's people that watched it and they explained it, and I was like, yes, that's how I experienced. That's exactly. And then there's guys like yourselves that just felt it the opposite way, totally the opposite. And I just think it's fascinating. But
I love your enthusiasm, John, and actually your pitch and your backing it up and your explanation of things and your excitement over it. Actually, it's like, maybe I want to watch this movie again. That's how good you are. I mean, I won't. Don't get me wrong, but it almost makes you want to. It's like, wow, you're fun to talk. What? I want to know your thoughts on the whole religious underlining, because we've talked about that a little bit outside of this conversation. And what's your take on that? And maybe, have you heard any controversy kind of surrounding that and just the Christian underlining themes to it? Or, lack of God?
This is the most controversial bit of... I felt, in a way, that some of the backlash to this film, not the parts that you guys have been bringing out, but what other people, like, sort of online and forums, was maybe as much as, not everyone is a Christian or appreciates that. But I definitely have respect for, I'm not particularly religious myself, but I have respect for the ideologies. I mean, we're just talking about people that want to be super kind and helpful, so I feel a bit shitty going and terrorizing those kind of people. But I didn't even feel it was particularly Christian as such. I felt like you're bringing out like a spirituality. He brought out a certain spirituality in this film, which not a lot of Europeans even necessarily, felt that they enjoyed that bit of it. But they enjoyed the artsy experience of it. But the Christian thing, some people I think slash this film because they just literally hate God, or they hate the notion of God, or they, I think they just don't have respect for people that, fair enough, as people's beliefs and stuff,
I think that for anybody to get so uptight and offended at something like maybe a religious undertone to it. You know, I know Terrence Malick films are, like I said, they're meant for you to really just hurt your head thinking of an underlining meaning to everything. But maybe certain people, well, it seems like that to me, but maybe certain people look at different things a little too hard. Like, I don't think, maybe the religious underlining wasn't meant to be cracked open so much. It's like you got the whole Big Bang thing, creation, dinosaurs. Okay, now I could be a really uptight conservative Christian. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm a Christian and all that stuff, but I could be super uptight, Bible Belt of America.
Right. Okay. So you are a Christian. You're a Christian yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I could be Bible Belt of America, really uptight, and I could instantly see a dinosaur and go, "Oh my God, this is heresy," and all that stuff. But it's like, that doesn't even register. It's like, okay, I'm going to watch the flick. I don't get so offended. To me, this movie is just as much like, this is not for the Christians. It's meant to, piss people off, as The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe is. When that movie came out, C.S. Lewis, amazing Christian author. You can be religious or not. The guy had some great ideologies, and he was a really, really, really well-spoken man.
Amazing fellow. Amazing fellow.
Not a big fan of his fantasy writing, but his books on ideology were incredible. Very smart man. So when that movie came out, just because C.S. Lewis's name was attached to it, the entire Christian community in America, especially the Bible Belt, were like, "Oh yeah, finally a movie for us." I'm like, "Hey man, this is a movie for everybody." To me, these are like, no, it's like, that's not really fair. Now, maybe there's that underlining, but you know what? Anybody that's, a Christian, not a Christian, a Satanist for all I care, no matter what they do in life, I'm thinking who they are as a person and their personal beliefs are going to be a part of who they are, is going to come out in their work. In some sort of underlining. Why does it have to be predominantly one thing and for somebody? So of course I'm going to see some kind of, I can see some Christian themes and some, in that. Like, well, the guy was a Christian, he might, I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but
I think with this film, there's a lot of, as much as people can say whatever they like about it, they didn't like it or they thought it was boring, there's a lot of positivity. And that's something that I feel you can't bash that. You can bash many parts about this film, but I think there was a backlash towards that positivity, so with those kind of people, I tend to just feel like, well, I disagree with you on that. I think I always have respect for something that's being positive, and I respect their opinions on the narrative or something. But I think there was a backlash about it being Christian undertones or the positive aspect of this film. So that I disagree strongly with. But I think some people are very anti-God and anti-Christian, and they just hate anything that has any relation to anything spiritual. So, and that's not me. I think spirituality is important in our society in basic ways and stuff. So that aspect of it, there's so much controversy with it online. But I just think, I don't know, I fundamentally disagree with people that hate positivity and hate a small notion of something positive and uplifting. So that I disagree fundamentally with those guys. Yeah,
I think I agree with you. I mean, I know there's certain people that definitely look for that, of course, and there could be directors out there that are aiming to take jabs. I'm just saying that I think some over-the-top extremists in whatever viewpoint they represent tend to look for controversy, But to sum that up, I agree with you. Have you read Sean Penn's quotes on the flick? I was doing some research before this interview, and I guess he has some criticism about his own movie. Have you heard this?
No, I'd read up a lot of Brad Pitt in videos, in interviews, and writing, what he said, and Jessica Chastain, who plays the mother, Brad Pitt's wife in the film.
First of all, what did Brad Pitt have to say?
I hadn't Sean Penn. Sorry?
What did Brad Pitt have to say about the film?
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. He really liked the film. He loved it. In fact, Jessica Chastain was probably the most enthusiastic, but he was sort of, you could say, cautiously very happy with the way the film turned out himself. But Jessica Chastain definitely was the one who was the most outspoken about how much she loved it and the experience and whatnot. I think Brad Pitt was a little bit more politically correct, but he definitely liked it.
He just wants to win his Oscar.
I don't blame him.
But I want to read Well, he's up for 2, which, by the way, this movie's up for Best Picture. It's one of those, oh, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I actually hadn't seen the. Sorry, guys. I hadn't seen the nominations for the. I realized they've come out in the last couple of days. The nominations for the Oscars.
I think they came out yesterday. Yeah.
Well, Pitt's up for Moneyball too, isn't he?
Yeah, I liked Moneyball. You know, the best pictures are never, to me, the best pictures of the year. But if I had to pick out of the slew that they've represented here, Moneyball was my favorite film because I've seen.
I loved Moneyball. I really liked it.
It was really good. I've seen 3 out of the 5 best pictures now, and you know, they also nominated the Tom Hanks film we saw last night as well, which was really, really good. I wouldn't say it was Best Picture worthy, but that's a story that's for another time. I want to get back into the Sean Penn quote. I'm going to read it for you.
Yeah, please. I was interested in that.
It seems like he's pretty much on the same page as everybody else, at least the American audience, whoever didn't like it else around the world. He says, I didn't at all find on the screen the emotion of the script, which is the most magnificent one that I've ever read. A clearer and more conventional narrative would have helped the film without, in my opinion, lessening its beauty and its impact. Frankly, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing there and what I was supposed to add in that context. What's more, Terry himself never managed to explain it to me clearly. So he goes on a little further, just explaining that he's really not happy with the edit, and he thinks that it just could have been a little bit more linear. It's like
it's funny. He's in a film. He doesn't even know what the hell he's doing there.
Yeah, it's like you're walking around
on the beach. Yeah.
You're walking around some skyscrapers. Here's a paycheck, you know. Which
I think part of that might be Terrence Malick's maybe elusiveness. You know, he strikes me as that elusive sort of character. He'll only tell you what you need to hear. Maybe a Stanley Kubrick type. You know, he won't explain to you everything and stuff like that. But yeah, that's surprising.
Well, we definitely get that opinion out of him because it seems like he's always hush hush. People come at him with like, well, "What's your response? You know, to people's reaction to this?" And he's always like, "No comment, no comment, no comment."
Yeah. Yes. He's a very private and elusive sort of character, isn't he? Which maybe created this whole, illusion about him.
He's also notorious for, like I said, the script might have been wonderful. It probably was, you know, and he loved it.
Yes.
But the finished product is never what it was when they were making it, because he's notorious for cutting out people that had lead roles in their flick, that predominant presences, and then when the final edit comes out, it's all chopped up. These people are seen for like 2 seconds. He's been notorious for this. I hear he did it. Yeah, Adrian Brody in Thin Red Line. He's like, he was left on the cutting room floor, and he was meant to have a main role. You know, it just totally almost becomes a different piece in the editing. Like the editing is just this entirely different project of its own.
Yeah.
That might have been the case. That might have been the case with Sean Penn. I'm sorry. He might have had more of an in-depth feeling about his performance, and then when he saw the final product, it's like, okay, what did I add to this? But
yeah, that's interesting what you mentioned, because I had heard that. I'm remembering as soon as you read it, he had said, I read somewhere online that he had said that it was the script when he read it was the most amazing script he'd ever read. So that says something about this story of this film, you know, that as much as some people had criticisms, and myself included, about his role, you know, which was kind of a bit of a strange cast placement, you know, in this film. But the I think what he says about the script says something about this film, you know, about how he says, I hope the script comes out and is released so people can read it because it is so amazing, which is interesting.
It'd be very interesting to see a lot of movies in that light. Like, I want to see what it started out as, you know?
Yeah.
Because the reality of it all is we got a million people working on one movie, and it's not necessarily just one person's vision.
Yes.
All right, so in closing, I kind of gave my closing statement. Actually, my closing statement is kind of going to be the same as my opening statement, where I feel it was very much seemed like a Rosebud student film, about 2 hours and 15 minutes too long. And if it was 15 minutes, I think they could have summed up this whole flick in a 15-minute short film, honestly. I think the message, honestly. And that's my opinion, and I'm just going to say it kind of went over my head, and the few shining beacons of light that we had, that the movie had going for it, just the sum of those aren't, you know, the whole of it isn't greater than those little pieces. And to me, it's all about serving the greater picture of that. So I'm honestly going to give it a pretty low score, just because it just missed the mark with me, man.
Fair enough, man.
I'll be generous since, I did enjoy Brad Pitt's performances, even though I still didn't get it plugged into the whole story necessarily. So I'll give it a 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10?
Yeah, heck yeah, man.
Oh, okay.
I'm giving him some pity points.
Okay.
Or should we go off the mask scale? Okay, if we're going off the 5 mask scale, I'll give it 1 masks. No masks being the ultimate insult. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to,
Hey, you should give it exactly what you honestly feel about the film,
But you know what? Maybe I'll give it. Maybe I'll give it a no. I was gonna say, because Terrence Malick, I do have a certain respect for him because he does have balls. I'm not dogging him, but I almost said I'll give it 1.5. But no, I think that 1 mask, that he falls in that. There you go, 1 mask, just because that.
Well, I have to say, I did not like the movie. The part I did like, though, I like the creation, like the whole Earth scene and everything. I found that very beautiful. I'm into Planet Earth and those types of shows.
It's a lot of people hated that, but most people really hated that bit.
I think it went on too long, obviously, but just the way it looks, the way it looks in Blu-ray looks phenomenal. That's the thing that boosted it for me.
Sure.
It gives me a little more respect after watching it last night than watching it in the theater. So I would give it I'd give it 2 out of 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty much based on cinematography.
Okay.
There's no dialogue. I like movies with dialogue.
Well, there is dialogue.
Yeah. And I like linear stories, but based on cinematography, it's beautiful to look at. Malick, I'm not a big Malick fan, but I will give it his props. I'll never watch it again. I have to say that.
Me neither. Honestly.
But
if you didn't enjoy it, then it's a waste of your life, basically.
But there's movies that have really had a great impact on the first viewing that I wouldn't watch again that are like this too. So I don't know. I guess that just depends on who you are.
Yeah.
So you 2 out of 5.
I give it 2 out of 5. Yeah.
That's crazy. And I want to say really quick before you get to your rating, I don't want to sound like to any foreign listeners right now, or any friends you might have that would listen to this, we are uncultured American snobs, because I love indie, I love culture, I love art. To me, we've talked, John, Legends of the Fall, talk about cinematography, beautiful landscapes, love stories.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. And I love indie flicks. To me, a perfect indie flick, which to a lesser extent, you have even more kind of people that are out of the loop that just didn't get it. And to me, this movie was a lot more to the point than a movie like Tree of Life. But I loved Lost in Translation. I love flicks like that. It's like,
okay, that's interesting, because that's one I haven't seen yet. And as much as Melancholia, I don't know if you guys have seen, but that's maybe one we should see. It'd be interesting to hear what we thought about that.
I could recite that entire script for you right now. It is so amazing. And you know what? And Tree of Life is just like to the 20th power on it divides the crowd. But you can find some really, really Michael Bay, I just like to see explosions, and they're gonna be like, I didn't get the ending, I don't understand, that movie sucked, and the ending.
Yeah.
Ugh. But it's total art. Sofia Coppola, amazing. So that's I love movies like that. I stand by my 1 out of 5 mask. Give us your rating, John. Just hit me straight.
Just before I give you my rating, just my closing comments on the film. Or do we do the rating first, or do we just sort of
do whatever you want, man? Actually, close us with a comment first. That's cool.
Yeah, just the last thing I could say about this film, I just feel the feel of the film, the way it's been shot, and the emotion. Because a good film for us, for someone who enjoys a film, whatever the emotions that were intended to be conveyed to you by the director, if you feel those and you appreciate those, you understand those, you'll enjoy the film. So I guess that's with different people. Some people, it didn't hit them. With me, when I watched this film, I felt the emotion so powerfully. I felt the film is beautiful. It's shot like a dream. It's like dreamy. It's like it brought back memories of my childhood with my dad, who I could relate to some things with Brad Pitt. It hit so home. It was so emotional because of that. And at the risk of sounding over sentimental, somehow this film just really, really moved me. It really did. It shot beautifully, like in a dream, with so much of a dreamy quality, which didn't bore me, because obviously I had this strong emotional response to it. So if you didn't feel that emotional response to it, which is so incredible, this movie would be crap. So in that way, that really helps me understand why people didn't like it, because that's what this movie is based on. As much as the beautiful cinematography, and I think most people agree, he is great. I mean, people, when they go to film school, one of the first things you learn, because I've got a friend who's in film school, he says, oh yeah, we learn about Terrence Malick. He says as well, I don't like his films, he likes Badlands, but we learn about Terrence Malick. So he's groundbreaking. He's one of the best in the business with the cinematography of films. You know, people didn't like Days of Heaven, but the way it's shot with those shots of the wheat fields, and it can be so boring, but it's so beautiful. So people like that bit. But the emotional feel of this movie that is designed, if you don't feel it, then listeners out there, you won't enjoy this film that much, I think. But for me, I felt every one of them. It was the most beautiful, dreamlike sensation. It brought back feelings about me when I was growing up, and about my family, about loss that I've experienced in my life. And the spiritual aspect of it, it was so beautiful for me. So for me, I can't give it but the highest rating. If we're doing out of 5, I give this 5 masks out of 5 masks. It's really up there with my favorite films. That's the craziness of this film for all you listeners out there. You have guys, I mean, Aaron, we probably agree, you know, I loved Legends of the Fall.
My name is Goose, damn it!
Goose loves like some epic films too. So I was actually very surprised that he didn't like it. But that's the fascinating thing about this film. You either like it or you really don't like it. I think it's fascinating. But as far as I give it a 5 out of 5 rating. It just blew me away in every department, minus a few scenes. I liked it so much that even the cheesy dinosaur, that didn't even bother me. So that's how much I liked it. It's beautiful. It brings out a quality, if there are Christian listeners out there, I think it brings you close to that sense of God, or that person out there, the universe, or that positive feel. So I think from that perspective, it's mind-blowing. This movie blew my fucking mind.
Do you think it would have been as effective without Brad Pitt?
I think you could have put a few good actors in there, and I think it would have. I think he played a role that could have been played equally as well. I think you could have put Sean Penn there, but Brad Pitt gave up a really strong performance for sure. Yeah,
I think I don't know, man. Dinosaurs for me, they either have to be chasing Jeff Goldblum or having witty catchphrases like "not the mama" for me to be accepting of them. Which that's an American trademark. You don't get that, dinosaurs. But anyway, that's very insightful, man. You've been awesome to talk to.
Yeah.
I think.
Hey, thanks, guys.
I forgot to mention it in my little summary, but anybody that likes this should watch The Fountain.
Oh, yeah.
The Darren Aronofsky film. There's
a director.
He's great, man. He never makes the same movie twice. That's for sure. It's kind of hard to pinpoint his precise style. But
a bit like Malick, actually. A bit like Malick, because he doesn't really make two similar films, if you think about it.
Not at all. No. Not at all.
Badlands, he went to Days of Heaven. Days of Heaven was a random flick. It's, so weird compared to Badlands. And then he made The New World. And then he came out, and then he made the Vietnam War movie with a freaking tree of life in that film, if you guys remember. So, weird.
I think, for Darren Aronofsky, maybe like Malick, too. I haven't seen all of Malick's pieces. But, I think some of Aronofsky's visions kind of go over my head. I think some of them are okay, and I think some of them are just amazing. But The Fountain is basically a very similar story, told in a very different manner using different tools to represent, but it's got a little bit more of a story to it, But it's still very, very artsy. Like, if you've never seen Tree of Life and you see The Fountain, you might be like, that was the most
I love The Fountain, but I hated the Tree of Life.
If you've never seen the Tree of Life and you see The Fountain, you might think, wow, that was so tripped out. I don't know what to take from that. But then you see the Tree of Life, and it's like, okay, I get The Fountain a little better, because it's just a little, but it's very good. So I recommend anybody watch that, because I did enjoy The Fountain.
It's great.
Not enough to watch it again. Like, it's not one of those, but it's definitely it held my interest. So maybe everybody should check that out as well.
I purchased it. That's how much I liked it. I loved it.
Yeah, it is.
I need to see it based on what you're saying there. I'm going to watch that film. I hadn't seen it yet, The Fountain. So, but someone else said, "Oh, I didn't like the Tree of Life, but I love The Fountain." So I was like, "Wow."
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, buddy. Well, this has been a really great chat. I hope to do some more things like this in the future. Definitely, you're very got a great insight. Just to close it out, guys. I am the Goose.
And I am Riverman.
And John Milan, you've been wonderful.
Thanks, guys. Nice to discuss it. And you guys have a good evening. Have fun.
All right, man. Stay off those shrooms.
I will. I'll stick to the pot, though.
All right.